Alright, welcome back everyone, welcome back to another edition of a StarCraft Evolution Showmatch, I should say. Welcome to the SEL Masters #1, your first monthly edition of this new Showmatch series. I'm of course Show's Live VIP. With me I'm joined by these amazing players, by the people in chat, by my plushies as well. Welcome one and all to some more StarCraft Evolution. For those who maybe don't know what we're about to jump into, StarCraft Evolution is a mod in the game that does bring together StarCraft 2 and Brood War. They do bring them in as separate races and they face off against each other. They clash against each other here. We do not feature Brood War versus Brood War. We do not feature StarCraft 2 versus StarCraft 2. It is specifically StarCraft 2 versus Brood War. The players, they take turns. I say they take turns, it is loser's pick, so whoever does lose the first series or the first map is going to be able to pick whether or not they want to stick with their current race or switch it into a Brood War or SC2 respective race instead. So it's going to be amazing, going to be exciting, and it's going to be a best of 7 between uThermal and Classic. Let's go, baby, let's go. We have a kind of a PvT, also a bit of a PSA. uThermal, he is playing Brood War Terran. He is not playing StarCraft 2 Terran. He's playing random SE2. So random race for SE2, Terran for Brood War. That is what uThermal's going for. So should I leave it as Terran? Should I switch it here to random? I'm torn a little bit. I'll leave it as random for now, I suppose, and I guess I'll explain once we get into the games themselves. But yes, it is going to be a best of 7 here on the line between Classic and uThermal. Also, we have another broadcast scheduled after this one. As soon as this ends, we are going to be jumping into a King of the Hill format StarCraft Evolution event as well. So the SEL continues. Again, big shout to Hyper1, big shout to Caprulu and all those who work behind the scenes on StarCraft Evolution. A lot of work has been put into the mod when it comes to making models and balancing the game and adopting and adapting maps from Brood War into SE2. So much work into the maps, into the models, into the balance, into the game state, just so much work put into it. Big shout outs. I believe there is a Patreon exclamation mark SC Evo in the chat. There we go. There is a Patreon for Team Caprulu if you do wish to support the maintenance or even the continued support of this mod, that you can do so via the Patreon. Otherwise, thank you so much for tuning in. We're about to jump into our best of 7. Vetoes are now done and we're jumping into games. Game 1 is going to be on Frostline. Let's go. Game 1 is going to be a Frostline. Now, there have been changes made to this map. Frostline is in a way, a ladder map. That is true, but has been changed, has been adapted coming into StarCraft Evolution. So we'll be going over those changes as we jump in. Here we go. Also, up first, we have our races being picked. Classic is rocking Brood War. He has chosen to pick Brood War here. And again, losers pick from here on forward. And spawning in the top right hand corner of Frostline, we have our South Korean Protoss player. We have our red Protoss, the Brood War Protoss. It is Classic. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner, we have the random player, rolling random here, the SC2 Protoss. We have from the Netherlands, living in Ledo, Mexico. It is uThermal. Sounds weird to say. He's uThermal, baby. uThermal. Let's go. I'll give me one moment though to set up his name in on the page. Bam, beautiful. Quickly change his color as well. And if you're in the chat, you know what time it is. It is Gamba time. Predictions are now open. Place your bets on who you think will claim this matchup, who you think will claim this show match here. Remember, as a reminder, the prediction is for the entire series, not just the game, but for the series. Best of luck. Best of luck in the chat as we are jumping on in. So far, we are just getting into our openers here. So far, a gate expand or a gate cyber expand set up here from Classic. Likewise, you see uThermal going for a 2-gate opener. Classic, he is just now scouting. Classic confirming, he looks at the pro. Let's go. Classic, he looks in 2 of those workers in the middle patch. So cheeky move here by Classic, already showing off and locking uThermal in. So nice start here for Classic. He should just let it finish here. And again, that is 2 probes. That is 2 probes that are not mining, that they're trapped. Likewise, more boys are being pulled. There's also more lost mining time. Classic even attacking one of the probes as well. Again, just delaying the economy as much as possible in a mirror matchup. This is everything. Meanwhile, across the map, economic opener. Gate into Cybercore Gate into Expansion into Cybercore. Economic build here by Classic. uThermal, he has the option to try to go for an all-in, but his economy has been stifled. So what is it? Disrupted economy here for uThermal. Does come with the Probe Scout. uThermal does confirm the more economic start. And how does uThermal respond? Does he respond with a proxy? Does he respond with his own Nexus? For now, Double Stalker. Double Stalker tells us that uThermal is going to move out. He's going to move out across the map. He's going to apply some pressure here at the front door. He could reinforce this with a 3rd and 4th Stalker to make an extra wave behind it to keep going, or he may delay his units and get a faster expansion instead. So we have options here for uThermal. Meanwhile, Classic across the map going for his own Dragoon-based opener. As a reminder, just once again to re-emphasize, this is Brutal Protoss against SE2 Protoss. Here we go. So in one sense, it's kind of a mirror matchup, but not really. And we have the answer to our question about the following units. We skip those extra wave of units, no 3rd and 4th Stalker. Instead, not an expansion, but a Stargate. It's going to be a faster Stargate here for uThermal, followed by the Nexus. Now, this is a way to, yes, his economy is delayed. That is true compared to Classic, but it's a way to make up for that with the Oracle. The goal here is for the Oracle to move out, the Oracle to get some economic damage to make up for the late expansion. So this does make sense here for uThermal. We can see likewise Classic rallying out more Dragoons. Dragoon range is on the way, and so far is just maintaining map control. Classic, he has not scouted the main base. Scouting is quite limited here for Classic, bearing in mind, unlike a regular SE2 PvP, there is no hallucination, there's no sentry. Otherwise, hallucination scouts, they are so common and so popular in PvP. That is not the case here. So Classic, he is in the dark. No shield battery in the main base either. He is amassing stalkers here in the center of the map, but currently is not fully aware what's going on. Does have a probe. Does have some workers in position. Attempts a scout. Scout is going to be denied. Does confirm the expansion at least, so he knows it's not a one base all in. But he hasn't seen the tech. He hasn't seen the Oracle. Oracle moves out, Dragoons moving in. Now, these Dragoons, seeing the lack of additional Stalkers is going to be a bit of a tell, as Warpins were skipped. And we're still rallying across the map, and back at home I see nothing. There's nothing at home, there's nothing in the main base, there's nothing at the natural. Workers are going to go down. And Classic is committed. Remember, there's no recall back home either. First Dragoon taking a lot of hits, First Dragoon does fall, Oracle dives into the main, and probes are falling. Classic is in trouble. He is in a lot of trouble here. Oh, there's the NG overcharge. Takes out another Dragoon, trades 1 for 1. But the shield battery does put in a lot of work here. Despite that, Dragoons are trying to break their way through. They're attempting to. Meanwhile, across the map, 13 probe kills. Insane damage dealt there by uThermal. But he's losing all his Stalkers, and a Classic dealing his own kind of damage. Probes are finally going to be going down. But with extra Warpins, with that defender's advantage, uThermal should be okay. He should be okay. He's down to 2 Stalkers, but there's only 2 Dragoons. There's only 2 Dragoons left. So uThermal looks like he should have defended from here. Across the map, 18 probe. That's 18 workers go down. That's game-ending damage. That's game-ending damage here. And this also emphasizes the big weakness of Brutal Protoss is just how immobile they are. What I mean by that, and what to emphasize, there's no recall. There's no warping mechanics, so you have to make a Dragoon slowly one by one at a time, so you can't instantly warp in to react. Likewise, without those abilities here that regular SE2 Protoss has, that Oracle may have just ended the game. May have just ended the game here. And Classic is being punished for his aggression. As he's being chased back, now we have double Oracle diving into the main. There's 1 Dragoon in position, soon to be 2. And more probes are going down. uThermal just securing himself here, just securing his lead, as he will lose the Oracles, but for another 7 probes. Oh my god. Did I say 7? 9. Another 9 workers go down for 1 Dragoon. Back at home, uThermal, he has almost 40 workers. He has a massive economic lead. And uThermal, I mean, he's primed to take this, primed to take a lead in the series. He's moving out, he's going to catch out these Dragoons. He gets 1, he's going to get the other. That's still a lot of Dragoons, and that's still an army to be respected, so uThermal has to be very careful. He has to be very careful. As you'll see, these Dragoons, they're a little bit more tanky, they dish out more damage, they have more range, I should say, as well. In general, these brutal units are more powerful. That's how this is balanced, is that the brutal units, they like in a head-on fight, they will overpower, so boys are being pulled, shield batteries are finishing up. To help support himself here, 3 shield batteries alongside the boys. uThermal, he should still be okay. As another 4 workers go down. It's one of those things where in a head-on fight, I favor Classic, but at the same time, he's all in. problem here is that Classic's economy is in shambles. He needs to do more damage, and uThermal's just chasing him down. Just pull the boys, Bobby. Just pull the boys. True. He really is a tyrant. Let's go. As the boys are being pulled back, and we're waiting for Blink. Waiting for Blink here. Blink is almost done. uThermal getting another warp in. And what's impressive here is that Classic, he is holding his own here. That is true. You can get away with a smaller economy here as Brutal Protoss. But now that Blink is involved, uThermal, he should be able to out-control this army, or even out-position it. Speaking of uThermal, he does skirt around. Classic keeping up with the rotation. Does fall back. So far, good movement here by Classic. Oh. So we'll lose one more Dragoon. Classic is holding on. Likewise, behind this, getting into Reaver production. And again, this is to help make up for that lack of supply here. Even though Classic is behind, that is true, the Reaver can make up for that. Very much so. Very much so make up for that. Classic does hold. uThermal getting his third base. Building up, getting a greater army now into charge. Again, because of the greater economy for uThermal, it is represented here, not just when it comes to the size of his army, but his economy, his tech, his production. Everything is just skyrocketing ahead here for uThermal. There's potential with Reavers, that is true, but I mean, that's what Blink is for, right? Like, with good enough Blink control, the Reavers shouldn't really do much to the main army. uThermal should still be able to overwhelm. Oh. So let's be careful there. Again, still can't quite fight this head on. The Phoenix is out. And the Phoenix will get a full scout of the main. Does confirm the base, so he knows. He knows that Reavers are coming. He's fully aware. Fully aware of those Reavers. Nice catch on the Dragoon. Oh, let's get out of here. Takes down 3 Dragoons for 2 Stalkers. Oh god. Does commit. Takes down the shuttle. Shuttle goes down. But at the cost of a lot of Stalkers here. As it's how many? That's 8 Stalkers going down for 3 Dragoons and a shuttle. And he's going to hunt down more even. And again, you can see just how much stronger the Brutal army can be head on. How much more efficient it can be. That's where uThermal has to make use of his mobility. Has to back up. That charge is ready. Yeah, and Dragoons, they cannot fight the charge. It's not like this. Yeah, nice catch here. Classic overextends. Here comes that Reaver. Oh, shot goes off. Massive connection. The Zealots. Oh, the Zealots going to be going down as well. Only 2 scarab shots, so only 2 shots. And with that, uThermal, he will still clean this up. He will still catch us out. Another scarab shot takes down the Zealots with the Stalkers. The Stalkers, they do overwhelm. Nice splits out of uThermal. Oh my god. Very nice splits towards the end. Avoids the shots. Nice juggling so far, though. The shuttle is going to be going down. Oh, is barely sniped. But again, a very intense fight. uThermal did bleed out a lot of units. And Classic, he's claiming his third base. And despite Classic being behind, and he has been behind for most of this game, he is recovering. He needs a little bit more time, though, to get that third base up and running. uThermal rallying in. Ooh, doesn't get the Dragoon. And here, Classic, he is recovering. He is building back up. Now, unfortunately, Classic, he lost a lot of high-tech units. What did he lose? He lost 2 shuttles and 2 Reavers. And the problem is that he only has 1 robo. With 1 robo, he can only make 1 thing at a time, so he's rebuilding his Reavers, of course, at priority, but it means that he can't move out. Without that shuttle, as you can see, the Reavers are very immobile. Oh. As Reavers slowly crawling forward. It's getting involved. Likewise, uThermal does hit that third base, catching Classic out of position. He gets a couple of workers, gonna blink into the main. And again, once again, just abusing his own mobility here. Just the mobility that uThermal has, that Classic does not. Gets into the main, picks up more workers, 10 more probes going down. Reaver's trying to get in position. Likewise, Zelda hit the mineral line. And Classic once again just getting pulled apart. Oh, the Reaver shot. Won't quite connect. Yeah, won't quite connect. Likewise, Reaver goes down. Nice body blocking there from uThermal. I don't think that was intentional, but it worked out well. Again, for those that are curious, the scarab shots of the Reaver, they do actually follow pathing, and if you target, say, the center stalker and there's a forward stalker that's blocking, then the scarab shot won't quite connect, right? Won't connect with its target, and with that, yeah, uThermal, he's overwhelming, takes out all the dragoons. Likewise, Delta hit the third base. uThermal with just a massive economy, a booming economy behind this. That's why it can be wasteful. That's why it can be this aggressive. And it was an impressive comeback here from Classic to be able to recover onto 3 bases, but the reality is that the Oracles at the start of the game did give uThermal a very substantial lead. GG gets called, and uThermal will take game number 1. Whew, GG. GG, well played. Oh my god, uThermal, he does take a lead in the series, and we'll see if Classic can recover, as it is Classic's choice. Does he play Brood War or SC2? Up to Classic. Here we go. Just catching up with the chat. And thank you so much. Thank you so much. Boom cool in the chat. Gab, amiga. Thank you so much for subscribing for 6 months, for half a year of support. Thank you. Thank you so much for the support. Do appreciate it. Hope you enjoy the content. Hope you enjoy the StarCraft, and hope you enjoy the casting as well. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you as well for subscribing to my personal channel as well. Did notice yesterday. There we go. Go to that Manor Pylon to me. That is not a Manor Pylon. I would say that that's, again, like, that's viable, very much so, especially in a mirror matchup. So specifically in PvP, I would say it's not viable against Terran or anything like that. You wouldn't want to do that. But in the PvP matchup, like, you've seen that more often in the pro play. Do you see that more often? Rallying Reaver is not usually a wing strat. I mean, it allowed him to survive, if you remember. Like, without those scarab shots, the Zelts would have struggled a lot. Sorry, the Zelts would have overwhelmed. So that did allow Classic to survive, but like, just to re-emphasize once again, because the Oracle harassing damage, Classic was behind the entire game. Like, ever since he lost, what was it, like 18 probes in the main, or 18 probes between the bases? Like, Classic, he was kind of fighting an uphill battle, and which is why it was impressive how long the game went for, and how Classic did have some nice moments to recover and to fight back. So Classic didn't go down without a fight. But here we go, we're now getting into our next game, and spawning in the bottom left hand corner we have the Brood War Terran player from land of the Netherlands, living in the land of Mexico. It is uThermal. And spawning in the top right hand corner we have the red Protoss player from South Korea, this time switching to SC2, so the StarCraft 2 Protoss. It is a Classic. This mod and Age of Mythology Retold were the best things of 2024. I still haven't played Age of Mythologies, the new revamp of Age of Mythologies. I need to. I have no time. I do need to. I played that. I still have the disc, the hard disc of the original game. Played it a lot as a kid. But we do have our initial 2 racks opening here by uThermal. It is not uncommon to open up with additional racks here as Brood War Terran, just because it is a little bit more difficult to get away with a faster expansion in this matchup, just to be secure. But we often do see like a faster factory, even getting to faster vulture production. Here instead is going to be a commitment into bio. So I'm curious where this leads. If we go into a 3rd racks behind this as well, if we turn this into a 1 base all in, I do know that uThermal does have some cheesy builds. Which is why I appreciate watching him, and yep, it looks like a 1 base all in. So 1 base all in here by uThermal. So far he's fully walled up here with 2 raxes. With this academy he can go into stim, and this might be a 3 rack stim timing. Now, I should emphasize, this was a really popular build like a month ago, but this build has been nerfed. Basically, this kind of like this brutal stim timing here with medics hits so hard as a Brood War Terran player. Just to reference SE2 and just to compare the two, in StarCraft 2, 3 Raxes and 2-1-1s, their timings are a little bit later, especially a 2-1-1 timing, for example, because what do you have to wait for in a 2-on-1? A 2-on-1 is a stim timing in StarCraft 2, but you hit with a factory, with a starport, with medevacs. But as you can see here in Brood War, medevac tech or medic tech is a lot faster because all you need is an academy. So that's what makes this build so much more powerful here, is because all you need is the academy, and then bam, your bio army has support, and you can actually spend stims earlier on. So here we go, the bio army is moving out. We already have our first medic. So you can stim more freely, and uThermal, he is expanding behind this. Interesting. Now, when I say this build got nerfed, I believe the build time was increased, and the build time was increased. I think the research time was increased as well. I'm gonna have to double check what did occur, and I want to say that the medevac HP was decreased, but just because like these early stim timings were very, very prevalent in the meta, especially like December, January. But here we go, does stim in, boys are being pulled, and so many pros are going to be going down. Oh my god. So far 3 workers, does try to dive on that stalker does fall, and again the medevac does maintain these marines. Going to be 10 kills already. This is brutal, and he's not done. He's going to target down as many probes as he can. Oh god, it's going to be 13 workers already. And similarly to the last game, uThermal, he will take a massive economic lead. He will take an economic lead here early on. He still rallies across the map. This may just be game. This may just be game here. 19 probes going down. And again, you can see just how quickly stim hits, and more importantly, how much the medic supports the army as well. Takes down 1 more stalker. 19 probes go down. And with that, classic, he's down to 18 workers. Now, uThermal CC was late. That is true. It was a late CC, but uThermal, he still has a 10 worker lead on Classic. uThermal, he's like, mate, you want to nerf my build? Nah, I still got it. Now, to be fair, I was referring to nerfing the 3 racks. This was not a 3 racks. This was much more early and much more committed and much more effective. I mean, hey, 19 pro kills at the start of the game. That is a brutal timing here from uThermal. From here, he backs off, he retreats. He is switching into mech. Still making some marines to maintain himself, but that is tank production behind this, and the machine shops are already working towards siege mode. And basically, uThermal has a lead. What is the goal? Survive. Right now, it's maintain that lead. It's make sure that Classic doesn't get away with an all-in. Now, Classic did open Robo. Interesting. Not a Twilight Council opener, it's a Robo opener instead. I believe uThermal did scout. Yep, I mean, he scans as well. He does spot the Bay. Barely. Very important here. Now, this should be either a Disruptor drop or a Colossus drop. Regardless, he needs to prepare for that. And likewise, he should also know that there's no risk of any kind of blink timing in the main. There is no blink, there's no Twilight Council. Instead, we're rushing into earlier splash damage. This also tells uThermal that it is safe. I mean, he can do one of 2 things. He can either try to kill Classic as his Robo count is very low, as the Disruptor Colossus count is very low, or he can just take a 3rd CC and just expand. He can do one or the other. And right now, we're making 2 tanks at a time. He's building up his tank count, massing up his bio. Bearing in mind as well, when it came to that assault earlier, he did all that with 1 medic, and it's still there. That's the same medic. Like, he did not lose it. That's crazy. The medic survived. And it looks like the goal is to go for the kill. Okay, so he could do one of 2 things, as we mentioned. He could either just expand and freely get a 3rd and get further ahead, or just go for the kill. And the reason why there's a big window here is because it is going to be Colossus first, and all there is really a Colossus. It's going to be 1 Colossus, it's going to be a handful of vanilla Stalkers without blink, and a shield battery. Like, this army is very vulnerable, and this build from Classic doesn't really get going until we get up to 2 or 3 Colossus. So this army, it's just so fragile right now, and uThermal is pushing in. Yeah, it's going for the kill. So just hyper aggression from uThermal. Does move forward. He's just bullying Classic back. He's just bullying him back here. And Classic, he has to just fall back here. Shield batteries are on the way, but now the tanks are getting within range. And there's nothing that Classic can really do to engage. Charge is not done. Charge is still just now beginning. Charge is not ready. Again, this is the weakness here of a Robo-based opener. But not just that. I remember, as a reminder, Classic, he lost how many? 19? Yeah, he lost 19 probes at the start of the game. So he just hasn't been able to build up his army. He's had to skip warp-ins. He's had to delay tech. Tank flow is going up. Nice target firing here to uThermal. He gets 1 of the Colossus. Takes down 1, and the shield batteries, they don't do enough. They do not do enough. The solos are coming in. And uThermal, he will overwhelm, and he will take a further lead in the series. GG gets called, and uThermal will take a 2-0 lead. GG. Whew. GG, well played, uThermal once again, papi. Oh my god. This time with a much more cheesy build to go for that early stim timing. Unfortunately, Classic, he didn't see it coming. Winding it back here, this is where something like sentry-based openers can be really effective. The reason for this is because it gives you an early hallucination. And what does that mean? That means an early scout. Classic, he never got into the main base, he never saw what uThermal was up to. Didn't know if it was a CC on the high ground, if it was a factory on the high ground, or a second Rax on the high ground. There's possibilities. There's a lot of possibilities as to what uThermal could have been doing, and Classic had no idea. So he was kind of caught with his pants down. He didn't know how aggressive uThermal was being, and uThermal, he got out unscattered. He got out completely unscattered. That's why so much damage was dealt early on. Classic was unaware. And this is also, again, to show that scouting is paramount, both in Game 1 and Game 2. Game 1, Classic didn't know about the Stargate. Game 2, Classic didn't know about the stim. So both games so far, Classic has been working with incomplete information and has been punished for it. And that's StarCraft, right? It's a game of information here. And now we're getting into game number 3. Here we go. But yes, these for Brood War Terran, these early sim timings they're brutal. And they work quite well against Zerg as well. Specifically, I mentioned before, but it has since been addressed, has since been changed. But you know, you got to know it's coming to be able to defend and survive against it. True. That, I would say, is a big part, of course, when it comes to pulling off a defense. But here we go, we're getting into our next game. We have changed colors. God damn it. Hold on. There we go. Spawning in the top right-hand corner of Sylphid. This is a 3-player spawn map, by the way. So in the top center, we have our South Korean Protoss player, the Teal Protoss. Down in the series, still rocking SE2, it is Classic. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the Brood War Terran player, the Red Terran himself, leading the series 2-0 from the land of the Netherlands, living in Mexico. It is uThermal. And do you see what I see? I see the same build. I see 1 Rax here at the natural, 1 Rax in the main, and 1 Rax hidden in the natural. This does look like the same build. Now, this is a little bit risky. uThermal is bottom left, Classic is top center, or it could be bottom right. This is a 3-player spawn map, so uThermal doesn't exactly know where his opponent is. He does need to scout ahead of time to know where he's headed, and that also means that he's going to have 1 worker that isn't mining, so he's going to have a slightly impacted economy, or again, negatively impacted economy here when it comes to the execution of this build. Okay, he's moving out. He's scouting, he's searching, and he will find him. Wow, he rolls the dice, he rolls well, he checks the top half of the map, and he will find Classic immediately. And as we mentioned, same build. Same build, here comes the Academy, it's going to be stim timing, there's going to be 1 medic, and it is going to hit like a truck. Now, when I mentioned earlier how Classic, what's really been hurting him this series is just lack of information. That's all it's been. In a way, like I say, it's all it's been, but without that information, he doesn't know to have extra warp-ins, to have a shield battery, to have a defensive setup. Like, it's just hard to react if in a couple of seconds, to react well, to react correctly, and to react against like the onslaught that's coming at you. And the problem here on Sylphid is, okay, thankfully, he's checking. The problem is that, because he checked bottom right. Classic, he scouts bottom right, he finds that uThermal's not here. Now he knows where uThermal is, but this means that the probe scout is late. This means that Classic, he still doesn't know what's going on. He gambled a little bit, and he gambled wrong here. So he's still in the dark, and here it comes. Here comes the bio, here comes the stim. And already, Classic, he does encounter the army, so already a couple of extra seconds. Now he knows. He sees the mass marine, he knows something is wrong. Shield battery on the way. This time there's a shield battery. Shield battery's in production. Classic trying to slow down the army. He does spot the medic. He's fully aware it's the same build. uThermal back at home, he's expanding. Already expanding. Picks off a marine. Nice pick off here by Classic. Gets a marine. Stim gets activated. Second marine goes down. Gets a stalker. Gets a third marine though. There's 1 marine left. Only 1. The shield battery is going to be enough. And with that, Classic, he holds. Whew. Classic does hold. Once again, this time, I would say, in a way, better scouting. This time more proactive. Classic, he was in the center of the map. He engaged ahead of time. He slowed down the army, picked away the marines, and Classic holds. And now Classic's in a much better position. Again, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, fool me once, shame on me. Never fool me again. So Classic this time is all over this. Meanwhile, uThermal with the surround. It comes in from behind. Remember, there's no blink. He gets one Stalker. Can he get two? A nice catch here from uThermal. And he will get both Stalkers. It's a very nice positional play. But Classic maintains the economy. Remember, by this time last game, Classic lost 19 workers. This time, he's ahead. This time, he's ahead in workers. And why is he ahead? The CC isn't done. The CC was delayed because of the 2 racks open. So now uThermal's in a worse position. He needs to get damage done here, and so far he isn't. He's picking up a couple of Stalkers, that is true, but another Marine goes down. So very nice control here from Classic. And uThermal, he's going to have to back off, and he's going to have to go back to the drawing board, I would say, as well. This is the same follow-up going into, I was going to say double factory. Triple factory on the way. Interesting. Getting to his tank production. But unlike the previous game, where uThermal, he went for a timing, and he tried to kill Classic before the Colossus count built up, this time I imagine that uThermal's going for a more defensive style instead to recover. Because the reality is, this time uThermal's behind. This time it's uThermal who's behind. This time it's uThermal who's up against the wall. Ooh, and we're going into Vulture production. Let's go. We're going to be delaying siege mode. We have Spider Mines on the way. We have Ion Thrusters on the way as well. That's Vulture Speed and Spider Mines. And Classic takes the third. So we've had some pretty fast games so far. Game 1 and Game 2. Honestly, were decided at the start of the game. They were decided at the start of the game because of the economic damage in both games. Here in Game 3, we have more of a back and forth. Now, because of the commitment from uThermal, I will give Classic the edge coming into this. He is slightly ahead, just because of the openers, because of the faster third base, the greater economy. He's maintaining map control, he's trying to delay his opponent, but uThermal will eventually break out. And we're waiting for that moment as uThermal is kind of embracing this mech style. Oh, good. The tank is not sieged. Nice snipe. Very nice snipe there from Classic. Shuts down the tank. Slowing down tank production. Siege mode is just now beginning. Remember, siege mode was delayed. Otherwise, would have been done for that defense. So uThermal, he's punished. Spider-Man's now being set up. You see Classic looking for a way in. Classic, he did scout the factories. No third CC yet. Vultures, they do slip out. Classic once again diving forward. Siege mode is still not done. Yeah, still no siege mode. He gets one. He gets 2 tanks. And he might get all 3. He will. He will get all 3 tanks. Massive pickoffs. Can he get a 4th? Oh my god, Jesus. 4 tanks go down. Picks up 4 tanks. Keeps pushing in. He can try to recall back home. Speaking of being back home, the Vultures, they get some economic damage, but Classic, he shuts us down. He shuts down the Vultures. We'll clean them up. In the end, the prioritization here of Spider Mines and Ion Thrusters wasn't quite worth it. Stalker's finally going to get picked up, but the damage has been done. They killed 4 tanks. And what does that mean? That means a couple of things, actually. It means that the defensive position is weaker. The defensive position is now weaker here for uThermal, and he has no pushing power either. He has no way to push out if he wants to go for a 2-base all-in. He's going for a 3rd CC, trying to expand, but uThermal is in a rough position. Vultures towards the natural. Vultures into the 3rd. Nicely done. They do pick up a couple of workers. Spider-Mans do burrow. Oh! Not quite activated. Yeah, they don't quite get activated, and Vultures are going to go down. So far, good defense here by Classic. Oh! Ooh, doesn't quite get connected. Doesn't quite pop off. And in the end, going to be 8 probe kills. I mean, this is helping uThermal. This is true. Like, Vultures are pretty cheap. They're pretty cheap, so you can throw them away. You can get some economic damage. This is helping uThermal, but he needs a little bit more breathing room here to expand. Speaking of, Classic is 4. Classic, he's now up on 2 bases, getting a 4th base. uThermal, he's fully embracing mech, throwing down 2 more factories, throwing down 2 armories as well. So uThermal is just making it up, which is viable. I should also emphasize that. Seeing mech against Protoss is more of a rare sight in SE2, but is more standard in Brood War. Thanks to the Vulture. Like, the Vulture is just really versatile when it comes to harassing, when it comes to supporting. Like, the Vulture is I've seen something a lot of SE2 Terrans have wanted for a long time. I mean, in general, they also ask for units like the Goliath and stuff like that. Nah. Fortunately, never happened. You get the Cyclone, you know? It kind of has a similar role. Kind of. There we go. Just see uThermal, claiming his base, takes his third. uThermal, he will expand. Classic should be the first to max out. He's already at 150 or 140 supply, getting his fourth base, getting it saturated, massing up his gateway composition. For the time being, there's no splash damage, not yet, is getting into a mortar production, and Classic, we'll see if he can break the third. It's not going to be easy, pushing in all these spider mines, but the Observer's in position, and the Observer sees all the mines. So Classic, he's going for the kill. He's getting ready for the assault. And again, imagine this position with 4 more tanks. Remember, at the start of the game, 4 tanks did go down. Now they're not here. As spider mines, they do fall. Zell's now charging in after the mines are cleaned up. And uThermal's going to be broken. He's going to be broken. There's just not enough to defend. What, only 3 tanks? GG gets called, and Classic, he will break through. He will fight back and put a point on the board. Whew. GG. GG, well played. Ooh, Classic, he will put a point on the board. He will fight back. We have a series. We have a back and forth. And again, this emphasizes uThermal. It was a very nice build initially that he showed off on Amygdala, but we cannot rely on that cheese. We cannot rely on that rush. I'm referring to the 2-rack stim timing. You did it once in the series, but now we got to pull it back a little bit and head for some other builds. And we're going to have to, as I'm excited coming into Game 4, it's time for the island map. It's time for Near Isles of Siren. If you've heard of this map before, if you've watched StarCraft Evolution, if you watched the stream, you know what's coming. It's beautiful, Pappy. It's beautiful. Spider-Mines were always that easy to counter. If you're referring to the fact that the Spider-Mine, the way that it works is that first it unburrows, then it detonates. That always was the case. So technically, you don't need detection to clean up Spider-Mines. But I mean, for good reason, because spider mines, they're on cooldown. They don't cost anything. I guess they cost a vulture, but a vulture has 3 spider mines to throw one down. But yes, that was always the case. You can always, it always unburrows, and if you have enough DPS, if you have a good enough reaction time, you can always target it down. But here we go. We're getting into our next map and spawning in the top left-hand corner of this 4-player map. Ooh, rocking the Brood War Protoss. We have the South Korean player here. It is Classic. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the red Protoss player, the red Protoss himself. I should say the random player rolling SE2 Protoss. So another PvP. Goddamn. Another PvP. From the Netherlands, it is uThermal. And welcome one and all to Near Isles of Siren. Now, once again, to reiterate, uThermal chose, after losing the last game, he chose to play SE2, and for StarCraft 2, he is picking random. So he rolled random, and he rolled Protoss, and welcome to Near Isles of Siren. What do we have? We have the main. We have the natural with a rich vesting gas geyser. We have the third base also with a rich vesting gas geyser. We have the fourth base, which is a little bit further out. You have to go around the edge of the map. You have to go around the edge of your island to get to that fourth base, but you have a 4-base setup. You have a 4-base setup, and typically it's a game of greed. And what did I just mention? Yes, this is a 4-player map with 5 islands. We have bottom right, we have top right, we have top left, and bottom left, and it is all split off by these small rivers. You basically have these canals that do split the map into quadrants. So because of that, you can only traverse from side to side with Nidus Worms, with Sky Toss, with Warp Prisms, with Drop Play, and I did mention the fifth island because there's a 5th island in the center. So there's a center island base with all this money, with all these resources that you can expand to. Now, because we're on an island map, it typically means greed. Nexus first. Nexus first out of uThermal. Likewise, Gate expand here by Classic. So Classic, he's going for a bit of a safer start, but the earlier tech means earlier Stargate. So Stargate opener by Classic. Classic, he delayed his economy in favor of the Stargate. uThermal, he delayed his Stargate in favor of the economy. So in the end, we're getting here in different ways. uThermal's going to be a little bit greedier, Classic going to be a little bit more aggressive, and both players are working, or should be working, towards SkyToss. Again, draw play is a big factor here. You don't have to play SkyToss on an island map. We have seen some mothership recall strategies from SE2, where you build up a ground army, then get a mothership, and then you just recall everything onto an island and just commit. We have, and you can reinforce with Warp Prism, of course, as well. So we have seen that style, but nah, it's going to be double Stargate here from uThermal, and we have a double Stargate from Classic. Corsair versus Phoenix. This is a dynamic that I actually haven't seen before. I'll be honest. I'll be honest. I haven't quite embraced this. We do have the fleet beacon on the way here for Classic to help out with upgrades to potentially tech up even further. But yeah, we're gonna get SkyToss versus SkyToss. Let's go. On top of that, bearing in mind the players don't know where they are. They're scouting. This is a 4-player spawn map. They could be anywhere really. So Classic is looking for the expansion. Is checking top right. Likewise, uThermal throwing out spotter pylons. And Classic confirms, okay, uThermal is not top right. He's checking bottom right instead. He's heading on over. We have +1 air attack on the way already here for Classic, so he will have the upgrade lead. And he's rushing into carrier. Oh my god, okay, that's what the fleet beacon was for. Rushing into carrier. This time less certain of. I mean, okay, there's a lot to get into. First, he confirms. He does confirm Phoenixes are amassing, and the Corsair is gonna get caught out. Corsair does force back the Phoenix, but there's a second Phoenix that's about to pop, and with that second Phoenix, then the Corsair can be chased down. But what I'm concerned by here, okay, the carriers are very tanky. They're very tanky, and if Classic can build up towards around 4 carriers, mate, he can overwhelm these Phoenixes. Phoenixes, they tickle carriers. So that's my biggest concern for uThermal, but he's gonna scout. Yeah, he's gonna scout, and he will see the carriers being morphed in. Big scout here for uThermal. He does spot the carriers. How does he respond? Unfortunately, he has no fleet beacon. Getting +1 air attack. He's still good at committing. He still has to commit here to Mass Phoenix. Now, I did mention something. How if the carrier count builds up to critical mass, then Classic will just win this game. But I would imagine that uThermal, he's hoping to try to dive in. To try to dive in and try to snipe a carrier ahead of time. We'll see if he can. Ooh, shield battery's done. Yeah, shield battery is done. Corsair does survive. The carriers are revealed. I mean, they were already revealed earlier. Okay, it's 2 carrier into Corsair. Okay. Corsair coming in to support the carriers. I do like this. It's like the carriers are the backbone of the army. Corsairs are here to help protect. Phoenixes, they head for the mineral line. Bit of an awkward rally here from uThermal. Has to pull away, but he does get into the mineral line. Probes are falling. Ooh, he will lose the Phoenix though. We'll lose 1. Bearing in mind, Corsairs do splash damage. So uThermal, he has to pull away, has to back off. As more Corsairs are building. I mean, that's the scary thing. Like, Phoenixes, they are so prone to stacking. So, in a head-on fight, do I favor Mass Corsair? I think I do. I think I do favor Mass Corsair against Phoenix, but we'll see as the army is forced back. Once again, uThermal taking more bases, getting into a 3-base economy. Likewise, so is Classic. uThermal now working on that fleet beacon. Now, when it comes to what uThermal's most likely working towards, I mean, this is probably going to be for Anion Pulse Crystals. Would I favor Phoenix with Tempest over Corsair Carrier? I think it's hard to say. Like, the attack rate of the Tempest, I mean, Tempests are amazing against Carrier, but it's only 2 carriers, so you probably don't want to get baited in. You don't want to get baited into making too many Tempest. But I'm still not entirely convinced here by the Phoenixes. I mean, again, as I mentioned before, just to reiterate, I haven't really seen the dynamic of Mass Corsair versus Mass Phoenix. Oh god, again, you can see the splash damage here. Like, it's, you have to pre-split. You have to pre-spread. And yeah, uThermal, he falters, he's going into Void Ray. This makes sense. Which is also prone to stacking, by the way. But uThermal, he's like, you know what? Mass Phoenix probably isn't going to work, so he's switching into Void Rays instead. Again, the Phoenixes, they take a lot of hits. They do get a mineral though. Nicely done here. Again, uThermal making use of his greater mobility. Takes down 1 Corsair, gets 9 probes. Likewise on the right-hand side. Ooh, he does take a big loss, though. That was how many? That was 3. That was 3 Phoenixes going down. So uThermal, he deals some economic damage, but he does bleed out a lot of Phoenixes. Behind this is going into Mass Void Ray. He's getting to his Void Rays, but he's still not there yet. Oof, Phoenix is caught out once again. That's another 3, another 4 Phoenixes going down, and uThermal is in trouble. He's in trouble here. Carriers are moving forward. Corsairs, they didn't shoot down, but that's what the carriers are for. Again, they're the backbone of Classic's army. uThermal going for a counterattack. Likewise, both players going to be losing workers. Corsairs, they can camp the production. Oh, they can camp. They do find the Void Rays. They get 1. Yeah, they're going to get all 3. Yeah, the Void Rays go down. GG gets called, and Void Rays are not the answer. Classic, he will tie the series 2-2. Whew. GG. Does tie up the series. And with that, we are getting into Game 5. Let's go. We're tied up. We're getting into Game 5. Whew. And again, uThermal, it did seem like he hasn't been... I was saying earlier how I haven't really seen this interaction of Sky Brood War versus Sky SE2. It looks like uThermal may be a little bit unfamiliar as well. He was like on the fly trying to figure out like what does he want against the Corsairs. Like Mass Phoenix wasn't going to work. He was trying to switch into Void Rays, but it was caught mid-transition. GG. GG, well played. Whew, we're going to Game 5. PvP, well, this time we love to watch it. I love watching PvP in SE2. I appreciate it. I mean, I say that I like watching Korean PvP more so than European PvP. I like the more aggressive nature of it, personally. But that is leading us into our next game. We're going into game number 5. But yes, Stalker projectile does hit, is faster. I should say the attack rate of the Stalker is faster, right? When it comes to versus Spider-Man. If you hate Phoenix Wars, and watching that would be so vindicating. True, true. Yeah, the splash damage of the Corsairs are brutal. That's also why, like, Corsairs are an even stronger answer to something like Mutas as well. Because Corsairs, they shut Mutas down so hard. Because as you imagine, Mutas, they're prone to stacking, right? They're so prone to stacking. But I guess you could argue that like there's a bit of a different dance in Brood War because sure, like Mutas, they're prone to stacking, but that's where the Scourge comes in, and you try to like protect your Mutas with the Scourge. So there's like that back and forth. Here we go, we're getting into game number 5. And now we're going to be loading into one of the newer maps of the map pool. This is a more recently ported map from Brood War. Welcome to Holy World. And we've only seen this once so far on the channel. Only once. We casted Bjorn vs. Skillis earlier last week on this map. Here we go spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Holy World. We have the Brood War Terran. We have the Brood War Terran player himself. Forced into a tied-up series. We'll see if he can bounce back. From the land of the Netherlands, it is uThermal. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have the blue Protoss player. We have the South Korean Protoss rocking SE2. It is Classic. Tying up the series 2-2. Again, we are tied up. We are back and forth. And the question becomes, uThermal, do you have another build available? Because so far, every time uThermal has played a Brood War Terran, he has done the same build. He's gone 2 racks into Stim every time so far. It's happened twice. It's a bit of a trend. We'll see if he does it again. But welcome one and all to Holy World. This is a 4-player spawn map. We have the main, so we have bottom left, we have bottom right, we have top right, and we have top left. So 4-player spawn map. Now, what is interesting about this map, as you can see, there's something weird about the main. What's going on? The main base is on the low ground. It's a low ground main base, and the naturals on the high ground. So a really unique feature. This is something you don't see too often, but this is something that can come into play. So the naturals on the high ground, but on top of that, what do you have? You have a pocket third, bottom left. You have a pocket base here, bottom left, that is protected by your natural, and not just that, you have a pocket fourth base as well. You have a pocket base on the right hand side, but it's a pseudo pocket base because it can be attacked from the other side. So you can attack it from the other side, from the center of the map here as well. You can try to abuse this. So this is a risky base to take. On top of that, there are rocks. There are rocks here that do wall these areas in, just to make it a little bit more difficult to actually get to these areas early on in the game. But then you can knock them down, and then you can traverse between your bases quite freely. So you have these rocks, you have these ramps, you have your natural as well. Meanwhile, uThermal, he gambles, he does go for the cross scout, and he does get eyes on his opponent. And this time, racks expand. I appreciate it. Economic build. Racks expand into a factory. This time, a much more economic build here by uThermal. He's not going for the same sim timing. He is not a one-trick pony. He can play economically as well. I appreciate it. Do appreciate it here. Bunkers on the way. Marines are amassing. Likewise, Classic going for his own gate expand setup as well. Now, the other big feature, if you can see that, what is that lightning, you say? Is that a storm? No, no, no. That is a disruption web. We have disruption webs in the center of the map. These are static. I mean, they're neutral. They affect all units in and out. And this does make it sometimes a little bit awkward to engage in the center. There is also a neutral CC, which I guess can become infested if there was a Zerg player involved. So there's a neutral command center. There's, of course, the pentagram of, not quite the pentagram, I guess the holy symbol of disruption. Let's go with those disruption webs. Of course, disruption webs, if you're familiar with SE2, they're kind of like blinding clouds. Where once you're inside them, you cannot quite attack, cannot take action. So they can impact fights in the center. As we do see, once again, mech out of uThermal. Once again, he's going to be prioritizing his vulture upgrades, this time going for a singular machine shop, so he's going to build up additional vultures early on into ion thrusters, followed by spider mines. As a reminder, ion thrusters, that is a speed upgrade here for the vultures. As uThermal, he is maintaining himself. So far, he's walled up. Third factory is on the way. Classic has yet to really confirm what's going on. The vultures have been hidden this entire time until now, and they slip out. Yeah, speed kicks in, they slip out. Classic does spot them, doesn't stop them though. And back at home, what do we have? We have two stalkers warping in. We have the shield battery as well. But because they're so fast, they can just rush past the stalkers. They can, and they will. Yeah, they rush on past it for the mineral lines. Oh, but there's three more stalkers back home. The recall. Yeah, did recall in time. Probes are going to be going down. That's still 4 worker kills and 2 vultures. They make it out. Whew. And what's important here isn't just the economic damage. Sure, 2 vultures for 4 probes is pretty good damage. More importantly, two of them survive. More importantly, he forced the recall. He forces Classic back. He gets some breathing room back at home. uThermal, he can take his faster expansion. Classic is taking his third, but uThermal is still not expanding. uThermal still on 2 bases, now working on spider mines, building up his tank count. Siege mode is already researched. Uh-oh. With Blink, though. With Blink, he can sneak up behind the army. He can go behind the base. Even into the main. Oh, my God. He can go into the main base. Again, there's a downside here because it's on the low ground. The main base is accessible without detection, without vision, I should say. Yeah, Classic making use of the map. Again, usually you would need like a hallucination or an observer or something on the high ground to scout the main, but not here, not on Holy World. It's unholy. It's what it is. Oh my God. So stalkers have free reign here. Behind the bases, you can see uThermal trying to siege up. Oh, that's what the observer. Classic, he fully walls off. Spider-Man's popping up, but alas, not quite enough to kill a stalker. Stalkers are tanky. I appreciate the Spider-Mines, but alas, Classic does defend. uThermal still building up on 2 bases. Third CC's on the way. uThermal setting up these Spider-Mines behind his army just in case. behind his main. Ooh, even trying to punish a blink. I love these spider mines. If Classic blinks, he's gonna get hit in the face. Spider mines, they will pop off. Now, of course, Classic can always recall. He sees. Yeah, he sees with the observer. He does spot this. He blinks past. Checks for the third. He knows he's being walled in. Oh. And uThermal is looking for the army. Oh, is spotted. Yeah, it blinks down to the low ground. The SU is going to be going down. Again, nice movement here by Classic. Shuts down some of the vultures. Oof. And this army's going to be cleaned up, but he's going to get one tank towards the end, just barely. Takes down a tank. Decent trades. And behind this, Classic taking a 4th expansion. Just a free 4-base setup here for Classic. We'll have a booming economy. Getting into a gateway composition. Mass Blink Stalker, Charge Lots, and Immortals. uThermal does move out. Does push. Prism getting ready here for a backstab. Prism into the main. And Prism going for the mineral line. And uThermal back at home. Does he have much to defend? Not much here. Not much in position. Thermal does get distracted. SVs are going down, and he's committed. Getting so much damage here. 9 SVs gonna be falling. And we gotta go. He has to send it. Again, Clash just buying time, picking off a couple of vultures here and there, slowing down the push, delaying the siege. Zealots are cleaned up. Oh! Spider-Man's going off on the Zealots, forcing a bit of friendly fire. To force friendly fire. Tanks moving in. Oh! Once again, Zealots get on top of the tanks. They get 1, they get 2, they get 3. 3 tanks going down, they get a 4th as well, and Classic will shut this down and clean up the army. Takes down all the tanks. Ooh, we'll take a couple Spider-Mines to the face. Well, that was a big loss here for uThermal. And back at him, he's still dealing with the Zealots. He just couldn't reinforce. I mean, that's the big problem here, is that the reinforcements were stuck at home instead of bolstering the main army. He just couldn't keep pushing. The Prism does so much. And Classic is moving in. Again, still Zealots in the main. Still wreaking havoc. Pulling uThermal apart. GG gets called, and Classic, he will take a lead 3-2. GG Classic. He was down 2-0, but the comeback has begun. Momentum in favor of Classic, winning 3 games in a row. And Classic, can he win the series? 1 more game is all Classic needs to claim the best of 7. Meanwhile, uThermal, he has to win this game to force the ace match. uThermal, he's up against the wall here. The pressure is on. And what is our next map going to be? Quickly double checking here. Purity in Industry. It's been a while. It's been a while. Purity in Industry is coming up next. This is an old Legacy of the Void map from back in 2020, if not 2021. It's been a while, been a long time since it's been in the map pool, but this map has been changed and adapted for StarCraft Evolution. So this is not a carbon copy of the latter edition version of this map. This has been changed, has been adapted. Here we go. Gotta wonder at the lack of anti-air. Yeah, unfortunately, there was nothing to do with the War Prism. You could argue that we could have made maybe some safety Goliaths, but even then, it would have been difficult to defend against that. To shut it down. Unfortunately, there was no starport. No starport, no like Valkyrie or Wraith or anything like that. It was very committed there by uThermal when it came to his style. And here we go, we're now getting into our next game as we have switched sides. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have the SE2 player. Remember, for StarCraft 2, he's playing random and he rolls Zerg for the first time this series from the land of the Netherlands, living in the land of Mexico. It is uThermal. Hold on, I got you. Bam, beautiful. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner, there we go. In the bottom right hand corner, we have the Brood War Protoss player from South Korea leading the series Vita 2. He needs one more win to claim the series. It is a classic. Here we go. And again, Purity and Industry is an interesting map. Honestly, it was heavily vetoed. Back in the day when it was in the map pool, it was heavily vetoed. It only lasted like 3 months in the ladder map pool circuit. We very quickly got rid of it. And as you can see, there are certain features. We have slow zones. We have just a massive amount of slow zones in between the bases. It is very short rush distance by air. Slow zones, they help with that. Likewise, there's an island base that you can get to. Likewise, even though it's short rush distance by air, also short rush distance by ground. Very short by ground. We would often see a lot of cheese, a lot of aggression on this map. uThermal 3 hatch before pool. Oh my god. Hyper greed out of uThermal. 3 hatch before pool here. Very greedy. Very just very greedy here by uThermal. Very risky. Back at home, gate expanded to Cybercore, standard opener out of Classic. uThermal, he will get away with this. Or at least he should. Now, the downside here is how late the gases are, and Classic does take note of it. So, very late gases here for uThermal, as it is 3 hatch into pool, then into delayed gas. Now, because gas is so late, this usually means that uThermal is going to play more tech-heavy. It means that we're going to skip link speed by the time we get into our gases and go into roaches. It's probably going to be a roach-heavy style from uThermal. Meanwhile, Robo Opener out of Classic. Okay, so gate into Cybercore into Robo, not into a second gateway, not into earlier gateway explosion. And this looks like a Reaver drop. This looks like a Reaver drop opener here. It's going to be Robo into a bay, into shuttle speed, into Reaver production. Which would make sense if there weren't slow zones. Like, the slow zones do complicate things, for sure. Will make it a little bit more difficult for the shuttle to actually maneuver between the bases. But we'll see how much it really does impact the build. As there's the bay, as we mentioned. There's the bay, there's a shuttle, into Reavers. So the build is coming together. Meanwhile, uThermal, he doesn't quite see this yet. He did see the more economic start, that is true, but he hasn't seen the main. He has an Overlord ready to scout though. He has an Overlord ready to dive in. Meanwhile, he's just droning. He's just now taking his gases, and he is actually investing into link speed. Okay. Players like Dark, players like SEL, usually they would just skip link speed and just go straight into roaches or straight into a lair. We can see here link speed and double lever chamber out of uThermal. This is a more unique variation. You don't often see double lever chamber against Protoss. Very curious. Meanwhile, we come with the full scouts. We get eyes on the Robo, we get eyes on the bay, and uThermal, he knows. He sees, he knows what's going on. He's now aware of the Reaver drop. Despite being aware, can he stop it though? That's the question. Overlord goes down. He's getting into 1-1 upgrades, plus on carapace. Interesting. I'm not too fond of this idea, but okay. And the scary thing here is that Lings are not as ideal against this. Again, this is not a disruptor drop, for example. What I mean by that is that the Scarab Shields, they can punish Mass Ling quite well. Shuttle does move in. So far, the Queen will zone. Its shuttle speed does kick in. Oh! Going for the Queen. Takes 2 shots. Does take 2 shots. He wants the Queen. He wants it. And he gets it. Yeah, first Queen goes down. Nice pick off. Shuttle still no hull damage. Does check the 3rd location. And shot goes off on the Lings. This is what we did mention. How many Lings did go down? 7 Lings and a Queen so far. Shuttle takes a lot of hits though. Classic gets the back off. He has to regenerate those shields. So far so good. No economic damage. That's what matters. No economic damage here for uThermal. Getting another expansion is just going Mass Ling. Jesus. This could be Ling into Ultra, by the way. I'm curious if he goes for the lair into Infestation Pit. If he gets the pit after the lair, then he's going for Ultras. He's going into Ultras. Ling say rotate. behind this going mass Dragoon. I mean, Lings can do well against Dragoons, but the Reavers, they do complicate things. They're not at home though. The surround! Yeah, nice surround here. The Dragoons are going to be locked down. Very nice catch here by uThermal. He gets 1, he gets 2, he gets 3 at least. I say that, he only got 2 in the end. They do barely scuttle away. Meanwhile, shot's going to be going off. Oof. 10 drones. Oh no, 10! More than 10. 12 workers going to be going down. 13 even. Yeah, the Reaver drop is going uncontested. Shuttle takes a lot of hits. Can he get away? He can. Whew. Barely does get away. In the end, classic defense, he only loses 2 Dragoons. 2 Dragoons for what? 4 Dragoons in total, my mistake. 4 Dragoons for 40 Lings, 13 drones, and 2 Queens. And here comes Classic. And uThermal, he's in trouble. He's in a lot of trouble here. Again, if there weren't Reavers, Mass Ling can do beautifully, but the Reavers, they support so well here. Because they punish Lings from bunching up, from massing. uThermal going for a counterattack instead. But we do have a wall. Oh, we don't want to waste Reaver shots so on the buildings. And GG gets GG. There's nothing at home. There's nothing at home to defend. GG gets called, and Classic, he will overwhelm. He will punish uThermal, and Classic will take the series 4-2. GG. GG, well played. Again, there's just nothing there for uThermal to defend with. He did go Mass Ling, and again, Reavers, they just chew up those Lings. There was potential with the surround, true. There was potential with uThermal surrounding the army, but we saw even then that the Dragoons, they were able to slip away, slip out of the surround, get behind the wall. Beautiful defense there, beautiful movement by Classic, and likewise, he does shut his opponent down. GG. GG, well played. Oh. And Classic, he will win the series, but it looks like we are leaving it up to the players here. If they want to, they can play at the final game. If they want to, they can play at the final game. Otherwise, yeah. It's all good. GG. GG, well played. Classic, he will claim the series, and he will win the best of 7. Congratulations here. Shout out to uThermal. uThermal, he had a lot of momentum early on, that is true, but because of the maps as well, they do facilitate for certain styles, for certain play styles. What I'm referring to, the island map, right? Neo Isles of Siren, uThermal, he did pick random, so he was locked into Skytoss versus Skytoss, and clearly you do have to approach it in a more unique way when it comes to Mass Corsair. Like Mass Phoenix or Mass Void Ray was not really working there against Mass Corsair, and you'd have to, yeah, personally, I'm not entirely certain as to the answer to that. If you have to go into a more ground-based composition, just because Corsairs can only shoot up, I would wonder if it's more viable to go into Blink Stalker as an opener instead against Brood War Protoss. I'm thinking, right? Because especially on Neo Isles of Siren, the rivers, the divides, I should say. The divides between the islands are very narrow. They're very small. They're very thin. Because of that, you can blink from one end to the other. So I can see that being viable for maybe punishing a player that's rushing into carrier. Maybe, but you need a lot of stalkers. You need a lot of stalkers. It'd have to be like, you know, for maybe like 2 base 6k blink all in, something like that. Like, I'm just thinking of like other possibilities. Or maybe even just going Phoenix into Archon support, or like Skytoss with Archon support as well. It's hard to say, but it's definitely something that needs to be explored, just because we don't really get to see it too often. It's a more of a unique kind of situation. Likewise, we saw Holy World. Holy World also unique in the sense that you don't need high ground vision to blink into the main, which is crazy, which I feel like forces more defensive play. Clearly, we did speak about it at the time, but clearly uThermal, he wasn't really intending to turtle on Holy World. He wanted to be more aggressive, but he was punished for that because of whether it was Blink or whether it was the Prism as well. It does feel like maybe you have to take a different role on Holy World just because of those features specifically of the map. Again, it's one of those things where the maps are pretty influential as to what playstyles are, I don't want to say viable, but what playstyles are a little bit stronger, right? And I feel like we did see that on Holy World, on Neo Isles of Siren. Likewise, Purity in Industry as well. We saw that I do favor the idea of going Mass Ling against Dragoon, but Classic, he was just so patient, right, with his Dragoons. He was, for the most part, staying at home, being more defensive, just taking these better trades before pushing as well. And with that, GG. GG, well played. Congratulations here to Classic. Hydrate. True. Oh, hydrate. But GG, well played. And with that, we are going to be going on a break. We're going to be going on a short break here for 12 minutes, or even less than that at this point, of a 10-minute break. And what is going to be happening? We are going to be getting ready here for our next matchup, for our next tournament, I should say. Up next is going to be the StarCraft Evolution League King of the Hill. It's going to be a King of the Hill style format. 10 players. 1v1s, best of ones. One player, the player that wins stays on, the player that loses is eliminated, and you replace them with another, then another, then another. So gonna head off for now, gonna go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll have our next broadcast. We'll have our next tournament. Again, congratulations to Classic, shout out to uThermal for showcasing some unique builds and for flexing his own style here as well. And I know that uThermal's quite fond of StarCraft Evolution, and I'm sure this isn't the last that we see of uThermal in StarCraft Evolution as well. I'm sure we'll see more of him. I'm sure we'll see more. But now we're going to be going on a break, and when we come back, we'll have some more StarCraft. See you soon. See you soon, Pappy. See you soon.